खंडमंडलाकारं व्याप्तं येन चराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनं शलाकया चक्षुर्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरु साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरु ओम ह्रीं श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। Even after listening to Dattatreya patiently, Parashurama was still perplexed and asked, "O Lord, what you have said so far about the universe is the truth. Okay, granted, even so, how is it that appears to be real to me and to others who are both intelligent and shrewd? Why does it continue to seem to be real to me even though I have heard you say otherwise? Please prove to me its unreality and remove my present illusion." Thus requested, Dattatreya, the great sage, began to explain the cause of illusion which makes one believe the world to be real. Listen, Rama, this illusion is very old, being no other than deep-rooted ignorance which mistakes one thing for another. See how the true self has been ignored and the body has become identified with the self. Consider this foul body comprised of blood and bones, other things. Pure intelligence, how can you consider that as the pure, supreme intelligence which is full of all foul things and which is born and which will die? And yet, from beginning of time it seems to have this misunderstanding, human beings. Even the gross body becomes mistaken for crystal clear consciousness by a force of habit. So also the universe has repeatedly been taken to be real, so that now it actually looks real. The remedy lies in the change of outlook. The world becomes for one whatever one is accustomed to think of it. This is borne out by the realization of yogis and of the objects of their long contemplation. What you make of the world, that it becomes. And then you build your whole structure on it. It's an old illusion that has been passed on from generation to generation. One person suddenly breaks free of it by the grace of the Supreme. And if you think about it, when you start thinking about it, then the grace is already there. I shall illustrate this point by an ancient and wonderful incident. There is an ancient and there is a very holy town, Sundara. Name of the town is Sundara. Sundara, beautiful. In the country of Vanga. In the country of Vanga is the great Sundara country, town. Here there lived a very wise and famous king, Susena by name. Susena. His younger brother Mahasena was his loyal and dutiful subject. The king ruled his kingdom so well that all his subjects loved him. On one occasion, he performed the Ashwamedha, a horse sacrifice. Now, this is to be performed only by the most powerful kings, according to Vedic strictures. A horse is chosen, usually a Swetha Ashwa, white horse. A horse chosen and dedicated for sacrifice is allowed to roam wherever it pleases, set free. A really powerful horse. The sacrificer or his lieutenant or group of lieutenants follow the horse at a distance. The horse is a challenge to the kings in whose country it roams, so that battles are fought until the horse is successfully brought back and the sacrifice performed. If somebody is powerful, they can take away the horse. All the most valiant princesses followed the horse with a great army, all the princes. Their course was victorious until they reached the banks of the river Airavati. They were so elated that they passed by the peacefully sitting royal sage Gana without saluting him. On the banks of the Airavati river sat the great sage Gana. These people were so happy and with their victory and elated, they ignored the sage who was sitting without even saying Namaskaram. Now nothing happened to Gana. He didn't care who goes, who comes. Gana's son. Problem is with the sons, okay? He noticed the insult to his father and was exasperated. He caught the sacrificial horse and fought the heroes guarding him. They surrounded him on all sides. But he, together with the horse, entered the hill Ganda before their eyes. Noticing his disappearance in the hill, the invaders attacked the hill, Ganda. The sage's son reappeared with a huge army. Nobody knows where he got it from. Fought the enemy, defeated them and destroyed Susena's army. He took many prisoners of war, including all the princes, and then re-entered the hill. A few followers who escaped fled to Susena and told him everything. Susena was surprised and said to his brother, Mahasena, brother, go to the place of the sage Gana. Remember that penance doers are wonderfully powerful and cannot be conquered even by gods. These rishis, these ascetics, these yogis, they are very powerful. Even gods cannot conquer them. Therefore take care. First do namaskaram to him. Take care to please him, so that you may be allowed to bring back the princess and the horse in time for the Ashwamedha. The time is fast approaching. Pride before sages will always be humbled. If enraged, they can reduce the world to ashes. So, approach him with respect so that our object may be fulfilled. Mahasena obeyed. Immediately started on his errand. He arrived at Gana's hermitage and found the sage seated peacefully like a rock, with his senses, mind and intellect under perfect control. The sage, who was immersed in the self, looked like a calm sea whose waves of thought had quieted down. Mahasena spontaneously fell prostrate before the sage, Sattangam, and began to sing his praises. Here he remained for 3 days, singing praises and lying in, prostrating before him. The sage's son, who had been watching the new visitor, was pleased, and coming to him said, "I am pleased with the respect you show for my father. Tell me, what can I do for you? And I will do it at once. I am the son of this great Gana, the unique hermit. Prince, listen to me. This is not the time for my father to speak. He is not going to say anything now. He is now in Kevala Nirvikalpa Samadhi and will come out of it only after 12 years, of which 5 have passed, 7 remain. Tell me now what you desire from him, and I will do it for you." Do not underestimate me. Being the son, don't think, oh, this is only the... don't underestimate me. And think that I am only a headstrong youth, not worthy of my father. There is nothing impossible for yogis engaged in tapasya, in penance. After hearing him, Mahasena, being very wise, saluted him with clasped hands and said, "O child of the sage, if you mean to fulfill my desire, I want to make a strong, short request to your wise father. When he comes out of his samadhi, kindly help me to that end, if you please." After he had thus requested, the sage's son replied, "King, your request is hard to grant. Having promised fulfillment of your desire, I said I will do anything for you. I cannot now go back on my word. I must now ask you to wait an hour and a half and watch my yogic power." This, my father, is now in transcendental peace. Who can wake him up by any external efforts? Impossible. Wait, I shall do it forthwith by means of my subtle yoga. Saying so, he sat down, withdrew his senses, united the ingoing and outgoing breaths, sat down and did some kriya for a while. Exhaled air and stopped motionless for a short time. In this way he entered the mind of the sage, and after agitating it little bit, he re-entered his own body. Immediately the sage came to his senses and found Mahasena in front of him, prostrating and praising him. He thought for a moment, taking in the whole situation by his extraordinary powers. Perfectly peaceful and cheerful in mind, he beckoned to his son and said to him, "Boy, do not repeat this fault again. Wrath wrecks penance. Penance is only possible and can progress without obstruction because the king protects yogis. To interfere with a sacrifice is always reprehensible and never to be considered good. Be a good boy. Return the horse and the princess immediately. Do it at once, so that the sacrifice may be performed at the appointed hour. Directed thus, the sage's son was immediately appeased. He went into the hill, returned with the horse and the princess, and released them with pleasure. Mahasena sent the princess with the horse to the town. He was surprised at what he saw, and saluting the sage, asked him respectfully, "Lord, please tell me how the horse and the princess, so many of them, were concealed in the hill." Then the sage replied, "Listen, O king, I was formerly an emperor ruling the empire bounded by the seas. I was like Queen Victoria. My empire, the sun never set. I was formerly an emperor ruling the empire bounded by the seas. After a long while, the grace of God descended on me, and I grew disgusted with the world as being but trash in the light of consciousness within. I abdicated the kingdom in favor of my sons and retired into this forest. My wife, being dutiful, accompanied me here. Several years were passed in tapasya. Once, my wife, in the middle of all this, embraced me, and this son was born to her when I was in Samadhi. She brought me to my senses, left the babe with me, and died. This boy, therefore, was brought up by me with love and care. When he grew up, he heard that I had once been a king. He wished to be also one, and besought me to grant his prayer. I initiated him into yoga, which he practiced with such success that he was able by the force of his will to create a world of his own in this hill, which he rules now. By his mind and yogic powers, he created a kingdom in the hill, which he is ruling now. He is satisfied now. The desire for being a king has been satisfied. The horses and the princess were kept there. I have now told you the secret of that hill. After hearing it, Mahasena asked again, "I have with great interest heard your wonderful account of this hill. I want to see it. Can you grant my prayer?" Being so requested, the sage commanded his son, saying, "Boy, show him around the place and satisfy him." Having said this, the sage again lapsed into Samadhi, and the son went away with the king. Sage's son entered the hill without trouble and disappeared. But Mahasena was not able to enter. So he called out for the sage's son. He also called out to the king from the interior of the hill. Then he came out and said to the king, "O king, this hill cannot be penetrated with the slender yogic powers that you possess. You hardly have any yogic powers. You will find it too dense. Nevertheless, you must be taken into it as my father ordered. So now, leave your gross body in this hole covered with bushes. Enter the hill with your Shushma Sharira, your mental sheath, along with me. Then king could not do it. And he asked, tell me, saint, how am I to throw up this body? If I do it forcibly, I shall die. The saint smiled at this and said, you do not seem to know yoga. That is the problem. Well, close your eyes. The king closed his eyes. The saint entered into him, took the other subtle body and left the gross body in the hole. Then, by his yogic power, the saint entered the hill with this subtle body, snatched from the other, which was filled with the desire of seeing the empire within the bowels of the hill. Once inside, he roused up the sleeping individual to dream. The latter now found himself by the saint in the wide expanse of ether. He was alarmed on looking in all directions and requested the saint, do not forsake me, lest I should perish in this inimitable place. The saint laughed at his terror and said, I shall never forsake you. Be assured of it. Now look around at everything and have no fear. The king took courage and looked all around. He saw the sky above, enveloped in the darkness of night and shining with stars. He ascended there and looked down below. He came to the region of the moon and was benumbed with cold. Protected by the saint, he went up to the sun and was scorched by its rays. Again tended by the saint, he was refreshed and saw the whole region, a counterpart of heaven. He went up to the summit of the Himalaya with the saint, Kedarnath, and was shown the whole region and also the earth. Again endowed with powerful eyesight, he was able to see far-off lands and discovered other worlds beside this one. In the distant worlds, there was darkness prevailing in some places. The earth was gold in some. There were oceans and island continents traversed by rivers and mountains. There were heavens peopled by Indra and the gods, the asuras, human beings, rakshasas, and other races of celestials. We also found that the saint had divided himself as Brahma in Satyaloka, as Vishnu in Vaikuntha, and as Shiva in Kailasa. The same guy, this yogi. While all the time he remained as his original self, the king ruling the present world. King was struck with wonder on seeing the yogic power of this son of the rishi. Sage's son said to him, this sightseeing has lasted only a single day, according to the standards prevailing here. Whereas 12,000 years have passed by in this world you used to be, so let us return to my father. Saying so, he helped the other to come out of the hill to the outer world. The sage's son then made the king sleep, united his subtle body with the gross one left in the hole, and then woke him up. On regaining his senses, Mahasena found the whole world had changed. The people, the river courses, the trees, the tanks, they are all different. He was bewildered and asked the saint, "Oh great one, how long have we spent seeing your world? This world looks different from the one I was accustomed to." Thus asked, the sage's son said to Mahasena, "Listen, king, this is the world which we were in and left to see the one within the hill. The same has undergone enormous changes owing to the long interval of time. We spent only one day looking around Penang, the hill region. The same interval counts for 12,000 years in this land. Look at the difference in the manners of the people, their languages. Such changes are natural. I have often noticed similar changes before. Look here. This is the Lord, my Father, in Samadhi. Here you stood before praising my Father and praying to Him. Here you stood before praising my Father and praying to Him. There you see the hill in front of you. By this time, your brother's progeny, Susana's progeny, has increased to thousands. In this one day of your hill yatra, it's increased to thousands. What was Vanga, your country, with Sundara, your capital, is now a jungle infested with jackals and wild animals. There is now one, Veerabahu, in your brother's line, who has his capital, Vishala, on the banks of the Tripura in the country of Malwas. In your line, there is Susharma, whose capital is Vardhana in the country of the Dravidas on the banks of the Tamraparni river. Now the banks of Tamraparni, today there is a place called Tirunelveli. So, country of the Dravidas on the banks of the Tamraparni. Such is the course of the world which cannot remain the same even for a short time. For in this period the hills, the rivers, the lakes and the counter of the earth have altered. Mountains subside, plains heave. Deserts become fertile. Plateaus change to sandy tracts. Rocks decompose and become silt. Clay hardens sometimes. Cultivated farms become barren, and barren lands are brought under tillage. Precious stones become valueless, and trinkets become invaluable. Salt water becomes sweet, potable water becomes brackish. Some lands contain more people than cattle. Others are infested with wild beasts, and yet others are invaded by venomous reptiles, insects and vermin. Such are some of the changes that happen on earth in course of time. But there is no doubt that this is the same earth that we were in before. Mahasena heard all of the sage's son's words and fainted from shock. He couldn't believe that he thought only one day he was inside. 12,000 years have passed, he fainted. Then being brought around by his companion, he was overcome by grief and mourned the loss of his royal brother and brother's son and of his own wife and children. After a short time, the sage's son assuaged his grief with wise words. Being a sensible man, why do you mourn And that whose loss? A sensible man never does anything without a purpose. To act without discernment is childish. Think now and tell me what loss grieves you and what purpose your grief will serve. Your grief will serve. Ask thus Mahasena, who was still inconsolable, resorted, great sage that you are. Can you not understand the cause of my sorrow? How is it that you seek the reason for my grief? I have lost everything. A man is generally sad. Only one in the family dies. I have lost all my friends and relatives, and you still ask me why I am sad? Sage's son continued derisively, King, tell me now, is this lapse into sorrow a hereditary virtue? Do you think it's a great virtue to be in sorrow? Will it result in sin if you do not indulge in it on such this occasion? Would people think you are hard-hearted if you don't? Or do you hope to recover your loss by such grief? Do you think it's all going to come back because you are crying in grief? King, think well and tell me what you gain by your sorrow. Do you gain anything? If you consider it irresistible, listen to what I say. Such loss is not new. Your forefathers have died before you. Have you ever mourned their loss? Have you sat down and cried near the river, oh, my great-grandfather died? If you say that it is because of the blood relationship that now causes your grief, were there not worms in the bodies of your parents living on their nourishment? You just have to look inside your intestines. There are hundreds of worms living there, not be worms, bacteria living there and enjoying themselves. They have a party when you have the wrong kind of food and they cry when you have the right kind of food. If you eat chilies, you will say, here it comes, and run for their lives. The whole thing, we are not alone. First we have the body cells which have their own lives. The liver has its own cells, the brain has its own cells. We think it's all one neat thing, yes, but it's all different put together. And we have these numerous bacteria in our stomach, sometimes worms also. That's why they sell deworming medicines. So, such loss is not new. Your forefathers have died before. Have you ever mourned their loss? If you say that it is because of blood relationship that now causes your grief, were there not worms in the bodies of your parents living on their nourishment? Why are they not your relatives, these worms? And why does not their loss cause you sorrow? King, think, who are you? Whose deaths are the cause of your present grief? Are you the body? Or are you other than that? The body is simply a conglomerate of different substances. Harm to any one of the constituents is harm to the whole body. There is no moment in which each of the components is not changing. But the excretions do not constitute a loss to the body. Every day you do it, there is no loss. Actually, there is gain. Loss is when you have constipation. Those whom you called your brother and so on are mere bodies. The bodies are composed of earth. When lost, they return to the earth. And the earth resolves ultimately into energy. So where is the loss? Energy is the same. Energy is always the same. Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamaduchyate Purnasya Purnamataya Purnameva, which is always complete and full, this energy. It's Purna. So whose loss are you crying for? Those whom you called your brother and so on are only bodies. They are composed of earth. When lost, they return to earth. And the earth resolves into energy. Where is the loss? In fact, you are not the body. You own the body and call it your own, just as you do to a garment you happen to possess. Where lies the difference between your body and your garment? Have you any doubts regarding this conclusion? Being other than your own body, what relationship is there between you and another body? Did you ever claim similar relationships with your brother's clothes? Were they related to you? Your brother's thrown away clothes? Why then mourn over the loss of bodies, which are in no way different from garments? They get worn out, they are thrown away. You speak of my body, my eyes, my life, my mind and so on. I ask you to tell me, what are you then? You are saying my wife died, my this died, my that. Who are you then? Your things have gone, but who are you? Being confronted thus, Mahasena began to think over the matter, and unable to solve the problem, he asked leave to consider it carefully. Then he returned and said with all humility, Lord, I do not see who I am. I have considered the matter and I still do not understand. My grief is only natural, I cannot account for it. I seek your protection. Kindly tell me what it is. Everyone is overpowered by grief when his relative dies. No one seems to know his own self, nor does one mourn all losses. I submit to you as your disciple. Please elucidate this matter to me. Being thus requested, the sage's son spoke to Mahasena. He said, King, listen, people are deluded by the illusion cast by her divine majesty. They partake of misery that is due to the ignorance of their own selves. Their misery is actually meaningless. As long as the ignorance of the self lasts, so long will there be misery. There is no escape. Just as a dreamer is foolishly alarmed at his own dreams, or as a fool is deluded by the serpents created in a magic performance, so also man ignorant of the self is terrified. Just as the dreamer awakened from his fearful dream, or the man attending the magic performance, informed of the unreal nature of the magic creations, no longer fears them but ridicules another who does, so also one aware of the self not only does not grieve, but also laughs when he sees somebody else grieving, saying, how foolish. Therefore, O valiant hero, batter down this impregnable fortress of illusion and conquer your misery by realization of the self. In the meantime, be discriminating and not so foolish. After hearing the sage's son, Mahasena said, Master, your illustration is not to the point. Dream or magic is later realized to be illusory. Whereas this hard, concrete universe is always real and purposeful. This is unassailed and persistent. How can it be compared to dreams? Sage's son answered, listen to what I say. Your opinion that the illustration is not to the point is a double delusion, like a dream in a dream. Consider the dream as a dreamer would and tell me whether the trees do not afford shade to the pedestrians and bear fruits for the use of others. Is the dream realized to be untrue and evanescent in the dream itself? Do you mean to say that the dream is rendered false after waking from it? Is not the waking world similarly rendered false in your dream? So, like now in not dream state, I say I am M. Okay? Maybe when I dream, I become Z, Zorba the Greek or somebody. Now, look at this. It works both ways. When I am Zorba the Greek, I am not M of this world. When I am M now, I cannot be Zorba the Greek. I consider that as a dream. Now, in the dream, if you tell me, hey, you are M, you say, what M? Nonsense, there is no M. It's unreal. Both ways. So, okay, you don't have to go through this. We understood what we do. Therefore, I tell you that you should investigate the matter closely. Dream and wakefulness resemble each other in their discontinuous harmony, like a chain made up of links. There is no unbroken continuity in any object because every new appearance implies a later disappearance. But continuity cannot be denied in the fundamentals underlying the objects. Because a dream creation is obliterated and rendered false by present experience. What distinction will you draw between the fundamentals underlying the dream objects and present objects? See, in the dream, every day I may have a different dream, and in some dreams I may be somebody else also. Like Janaka, the great king, dreamed that he was a beggar. When he woke up, he found that he is not the beggar but the prince. Right? So Yajnavalkya told him, okay, so you think so this is real, right? You are the king. What if this was a long drawn dream from which you may wake up and say, no, maybe I am a beggar. How do you know? Because in the dream, if I walk up to you in the dream and tell you, hey, you are dreaming, you will say, oh, shut up. What dream? I am seeing you, I am talking to you, it's not a dream. When the dream state is over, then you will agree, that was a dream, right? In the same way, what guarantee that this which we consider to be real, as we would consider a dream to be real when you are dreaming, no argument will disprove you then. In the same way, no argument can disprove you if you say this is real. Could be a long drawn dream. Could be. Could be there is some state where you wake up from this dream also. and say both are the same. There's only one difference, of course, which is in so-called waking state, there is a continuity, which again is not real continuity. While in the dream, every day is different. Now M goes to sleep, then in the sleep he becomes Z. But when he wakes up, he is still M. Next day M dreams, he may be yes. But when he wakes up, he is still M. But what we should notice, that the M of today is different from the M of 25 years ago. It is changing, but we like to say it is the same. 15 years ago, this M would have come to the platform not through the steps but jumped. Today it's not possible. Well, it's possible, but then you'll have to put tiger balm afterwards. So it's not as if he hasn't changed. It is changing. But we like to say that it doesn't change because that is where our whole security lies. We want to be secure, we don't want to change. So I say, I'm the same. In the dream, no, there it is different, but here it is not. And imagine that samadhi is a state where you wake up from this long dawn dream. Then you say to yourself, oh my God, that was a long dream. We won't believe it now. It's like in dream, I am sitting down and enjoying aloo bondas. And you come and say, now this is a dream. I say, okay, we'll discuss later, eat the bondas. It's the same in the waking state. So, dream and wakefulness resemble each other in their discontinuous harmony, like a chain made up of links. There is no unbroken continuity in any object because every new appearance implies a later disappearance. But continuity cannot be denied in the fundamentals underlying the objects. What is the only fundamental that underlies the object? That something is. We don't know what it is. Something is. What is may be different according to different definitions, but something is. This cannot be denied. Something is. If you say that the dream is an illusion and its fundamentals are equally so, whereas the present creation is not so obliterated and its fundamentals must therefore be true, I ask you what illusion is? What is an illusion? It is determined by the transitory nature, which is nothing but appearance to and disappearance from our senses. The only objects we know of are the objects which we can touch with our senses. Right? So with my senses, with your senses, you see so many people here, and you see one guy sitting here and talking through your senses. And you decide, in this hall this many people are sitting and this guy is talking. Do you really think so? Who knows how many are sitting here? You can't see them. Seriously, we don't have the eyes to see them or the ears to hear them. There may be some guy who is so frustrated sitting near you and saying, hey, listen. We don't see or hear. So it all depends on our senses. If we don't see something with our senses, we are likely to dismiss it does not exist. Is not everything obliterated in deep sleep? If you maintain, however, that mutual contradiction is unreliable as evidence and so proves nothing, it amounts to saying that self-evident sight alone furnishes the best proof. Quite so. People like you do not have a true insight into the nature of things. Therefore, take my word for it. The present world is only similar to the dream world. Long periods pass in dreams also. Inside the hill, this guy spent 1 year, one day, he says. But how many years had passed? So in a dream, you might spend a long time. You may be sitting and learning under Confucius in China. Who knows? And then you say, but Confucius was so many years ago. And then from Confucius you get confusion. Confusion was confounded. So, it all happens in this world. Take my word for it. The present world is only similar to the dream world. Long periods pass in dreams also. Some dreams are so beautiful that when they end you think, oh my God, it should have gone on for some more time. Therefore, purposefulness and enduring nature are in every way similar to both the states. Just as you are obviously aware in your waking state, so also you are in your dream state. These two states being so similar, why do you not mourn the loss of your dream relations? In the dream also you might have developed some relationships. They die. Why are you not crying for them now? Because you say, no, that was a dream. Why should I cry? But this is a dream, so why are you crying now? This is what is asked. The wakeful universe appears so real to all only by force of habit. If the same be imagined as vacuous, it will melt into the void. So use your imagination to cut off this imagination. You think it is solid, and no, it is a void. It comes and goes, nothing is permanent. What is here today is gone tomorrow. What is the original state? Nothing, vacuous. So use that imagination and it will melt away into the void, this world. One starts imagining something, then contemplates it. And by continuous or repeated association, resolves that it is true, unless contradicted. In that way, the world appears real in the manner one is used to it. My world that you visited furnishes proof thereof. Come now, let's go round the hill and see, come. Saying so, the sage's son took the king, went round the hill and returned to the former spot. Then he continued, look, O king, the circuit of the hill is hardly 2.5 miles. Yet you have seen a universe inside it. Is it real? Is it false? Is it a dream or otherwise? What has passed as a day in that land has been counted as 12,000 years here. Which is correct? Think and tell me. Obviously, you cannot distinguish this from a dream and cannot help concluding that the world is nothing but imagination. My world will disappear instantly if I cease contemplating on it. Therefore, convince yourself of the dreamlike nature of the world and do not indulge in grief for your brother's death, who actually seems to have passed away 12,000 years ago. Just as the dream creations are pictures moving on the mind screens, so also this world, including yourself, is the obverse of the picture depicted by pure intelligence and is nothing more than an image in a mirror. See how you will feel after this conviction. Even temporarily think it's like that and see how you feel. Will you be elated with the association of a dominion or depressed by the death of a relative in your dream? Realize that the self is the self-contained mirror projecting and manifesting this world. The self is pure, unblemished consciousness. Be quick, realize it quickly and gain transcendental happiness. Enough for today. It's a nice place to stop. There are some more chapters. Please buy a copy and do your homework. Read carefully. Be patient, most important. And then perhaps you will be blessed by Tripura Sundari and attain the supreme state. Hopefully. That's what we want, right? I want to see how long this chapter is. Long. And there is also the Ashtavakra section here. I'll extract from the Ashtavakra Gita. There is discussion on Manana and Nididhyasa. To cut it short, finally Parashurama reaches illumination. He realizes the self and says, now it's done. So you will also do. So, since this is the last day of the retreat, and please I again request that you buy a copy of the Ashtavakra Gita and keep it with you, go through it. Doesn't matter if it confuses a little bit, go through it again and again until you come out of the confusion. So that next time when we meet, you become like Hastamalaka. If I say speak, you say what about? Silence. So really I wish that it happens. I don't want to be the sole fellow sitting here and blabbering away. If somebody is good, then they can sit here and I'll sit there happily. So, thank you very much. If you want to do pranams, you can do pranams right away sitting where you are. Because one by one if I do pranams, you can just do your pranams. Blessings. Narayana Hari, Ashirvad. Om Hrim Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti.